Hello and welcome back to the Peer-to-Peer podcast. So very lucky today, I've got a brilliant guest, Nick Thorpe, who actually is a very unique position that you have transitioned from being an independent estate agent to partnering up with TAUK. So we're going to talk today about that. That's okay, Nick. So how long were you an estate agent on your own for in the independent world?
So left high street, corporate, whichever you want to call it, 2009. Had a couple of years with a business partner. Went to separate ways 2011, 12, set up on my own 2012, completely independent on my own and been there since.
So talk me through the actual post-transition. So obviously you've had conversations with clients who went, I was Nick's estate agent for so-and-so period of time, but now I'm actually kind of working with this other company as well, TAUK. So talk me through how that looked and sort of how that kind of went through.
So as a small... I worked in my local area. So I worked in the area that I went to school. I went to the area that I grew up. I went to the area that I know people, family, to suddenly one day, quite literally, change from the brand that everybody had known as a local company to, well, what's this new brand? It is a difficult transition. It is why have you sold your business? Why have you this? Why have you that? And it was putting across the point of not selling my business, going into partnership with somebody that offers a lot more in the back office, so I can actually help you as a client more.
And did you struggle to let go of that independentness, if that's even a word? Because surely you've grown the business from sort of a seed into what it was X amount of years later, and then sort of you're pivoting from there. So did you kind of find it hard to let go of what you'd grown over that time?
So my business name possibly would have been the more difficult thing for me. My parents both died when I was young. It wasn't a family name wasn't my family name that I used, but it was a name that was associated with my family. It was my house name growing up. So to take that away probably is the hardest thing, but looking at it on sort of in the grand scheme of things, everybody used at my brand for me and the way in which we marketed properties and the way in which we handled the estate agency and held ourselves, I suppose, within the community. So to bring in, I felt a very, very similar styled brand, a very, very similar in regards to morals and the way in which they wanted estate agency and want estate agents to move forward, was, to me, it was quite an easy decision, if I'm honest. We used a transition period of possibly 6 to 9 months to dual brand. I felt that was important because people call the brand they've seen. Not everybody just uses me because it's me. Lots of people have used the brand or seen the brand or a property sold on the street and, through the brand. So in order to transition it over to ensure that we don't lose the odd client that possibly is just calling for what they've seen in the past was very, very important. But ultimately, I was always very positive that the new era would work.
And I know hindsight is the exact science, but do you think you held on to being an independent agent a bit too long? Would you have done it, knowing what you know now, would you have done it sooner?
Don't know. Hard question, Chris. Being part of a larger team of people, being part of a very, very successful band of merry men, if you want to call it that, it definitely helped me. Possibly, but if I'm honest, it was probably a month or so before I originally spoke with the back office team at TAUK before I actually even made the decision. It was quite literally whirlwind moved over. So it wasn't something I'd even considered before. I'd looked at a lot of the estate agency models simply because they were popping up, and a lot of our competitors now, and none of them fit with my own beliefs or style of branding, or the way in which I want to be perceived by my clients, community, whatever you want to call it. And then it was all of a sudden, it was almost a light bulb. Well, they look like me and they have the same ideas as me. And I can get loads of support and I can go on holiday and I've got a phone line being answered between 8 and 8 or 8 and 6 or whichever way you want to look at it, which depending on which day. And actually, I haven't actually, that's part of the package. So I haven't got to be sat in our high street office to answer the phone calls. Fantastic.
So you touched on it a little bit earlier. So there's a lot of self-employed brokerage models out there
Yes.
these days.
Yep.
Maybe I sound very old when I say that. Why TA UK?
Again, I think as I said before, I'm very marketing conscious, brand conscious. How something looks, hopefully, is how it feels, and a lot of the branding is very American. The self-employed model is very American. To keep something as British as possible is great. To keep something looking as high quality as possible is great. And for me, that was a massive, massive thing that, you look at them and and if you don't like the look of it, it was kind of one of those where a lot of them were discounted simply because I wouldn't want to shop with them.
Yeah. And was there only one moment where you thought to yourself that kind of pushed you on and spurred you on to kind of look at, partnering up with a self-employed brokerage?
It's lonely owning your own business. It's lonely paying all the bills. It's lonely at the Christmas party as a small team with 3 people. For me, there are lots of reasons why being part of a larger organisation of like-minded people works. Even if it is down to, and we have a laugh about it all the time, even if it is down to the Christmas parties are better. Having people that are there to bounce off, having people that are there to discuss an issue with a compliance matter, to discuss an issue with not a complaint, but a grievance that as somebody that's been self-employed and had my own estate agency for nearly 15 years, I started young. I started at 25-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about if you get a complaint, what do you do? So I think it's fantastic for somebody that if they're looking currently and looking at the balance sheet and on the bad months not making it pay, so it's simply, well, I pay the staff, I just don't pay myself. Can you look at a different alternative?
And you mentioned there sort of going back in time and look at yourself when you were 25.
Yeah.
Do you think if you were in that sort of 25-year-old self position again, do you think you'd look at going the independent route, or do you think you'd go for sort of the partner model brokerage side? What do you reckon you'd be pushed in?
I would, dependent on the person you are. I mean, this is the perfect scenario, or would have been the perfect scenario for me as a 25-year-old. To work with people, but have the option to be independent in regards to how you carry yourself was my biggest issue with working for a high street estate agents. You had to be what they wanted you to be. I'm definitely not what the high street wants me to be, I suppose. In the best possible way, I do like to disrupt things if possible. I do like to try and stand in the least arrogant way possible. I do want to stand out, because if I stand out, and we can ensure that our properties stand out, we will be better than anybody else.
I love that. Nick, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been really good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.